Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Daughter Dearest podcast. I'm Simone Canego,
And I'm Olivia Canego.
and our podcast is about authentic mother-daughter conversations. We really talk about what you're thinking inside your head. And today is a great example of that. We're going to be talking about unwritten rules because there are a lot of them. And I would say a lot of people don't follow them, but some are pretty ridiculous and some I think are like crucial for society. So I think we're going to jump into that. We actually didn't get to see each other before the beginning of this podcast. Usually like we have 5 minutes, but I was trying to finish an insurance quote and she wasn't feeling so good. So we were like, okay, we jumped on 1 minute. So hi, how are you?
I'm good. I like your shirt. Is
Oh,
it the
thank you.
kind one?
Yeah, it's be kind. I don't know if you can see
Uh,
it. Be kind. Ooh, that looks like big boobs happening there. Okay. So
Just
anyways, what?
wait, my radiator, the landlord came in here today to fix something and it's making a couple of weird noises. So I apologize ahead of time.
I don't hear it. So
Okay, good.
yeah, yeah. So unwritten rules. There are so many things that happen in society that, when you think about it, there's not a handbook for everything, but certain things maybe there should be. And I'm going to start with a big one for me, which is when you pee on the seat, you should clean it up. I just don't understand. Like, we're civilized human beings, right? Like, why do people pee on a seat and then they leave the stall? I don't get it.
It's also so weird because it's your pee.
Yeah, it's not someone else's pee. I mean, it's your pee. You just peed on the seat. Clean it up.
Like, it's so odd to me. It's also, in a lot of circumstances, I'm like, how did you pull that off? Like, soak the entire toilet seat. And then it's just disrespectful because someone in the end of the day is going to have to go and clean it up, whether that's the person behind you or the janitorial staff. And Lord knows they don't want to be touching your pee.
Yeah. And I have a great story about this because, obviously I walk into when I traveling to speak, traveling for fun, obviously we're using bathrooms in all kinds of places. And it's still shocking to me. Like, that's the first thing I do after I pee is I make sure there's nothing on the seat because I'm like, nobody wants to clean up my pee. But I was in Target one day and all the stalls were full. So I'm waiting and the stall opens and I'm committed. Like, I'm walking in and the person that's walking out is one of my kids' friends' mothers. And as soon as she saw me, you could see the look on her face just dropped. And I walk into the stall, and I have never seen something like I saw there. There was so much pee on that seat. Now, I don't know if it started before her and she just didn't clean it up, or if it was all her, but it doesn't really matter. And I was kind of like, shit, I just committed myself. I am in here. Now what do I do? So I cleaned it up. Most people would walk out, but I was like, this is just disgusting. I didn't go to the bathroom there. I like cleaned it up and then I went back out and waited for the next stall. Maybe that sounds counterintuitive, but I think I was like so disturbed by the whole thing. And so every time I see this woman, and probably for the rest of my life, when I see her, I'm going to be like, you're the seat peer. That's what I think
Oh,
of.
and then also,
So
she probably hasn't forgotten about that because like moments like that where I'm just so embarrassed live with me for the rest of my life.
yeah, I mean, that was a ridiculous one. I was like, oh gosh, how did I get myself into this? Well, so next time from now on, what I do is I actually take a peek. And if it's like a couple of drops, like I'm willing to clean it up, especially if you're in like a busy airport and there's no stalls and you got to get on the plane. But when I see something like that, nope, I walk away. So I take the initial peek first before I walk in. Okay,
Yeah.
so that to me is like a huge one, but it goes along with another one. If you stop up a toilet, use a plunger. But you have a good story about this.
Do I?
Yeah, you do.
About
It's not
growing up.
about, it's not about you.
Oh, about growing up with my sister. Am I allowed to talk about that?
Well, that's actually not the one I was thinking of, but I guess you can add
Which
that
one are
one
you
too.
thinking of?
I'm talking about a college story, a party college story. Your roommates.
Yeah, but that we're in the wrong there. We're in the wrong there. Wait. And also the toilet, like there was no the entire toilet broke. Okay, so what happened is one of my roommates happened to clog a toilet at a party. Um, and it actually did flush, but then the toilet started flooding, and it was like normal water. It was like it wasn't like shit water, it was normal water. So what my roommate did was the girls behind her went in and then they immediately left. And when the host of the party asked, like, "Oh my God, what's going on? Why is there water all over?" And she was like, "I don't know, but those girls just ran out." That's not
Yeah,
a good one.
blaming it on someone else.
No, that's what the one I was thinking is if you clog the toilet, use a plunger. I grew up sharing a bathroom with my sister Emma, and
Well, she's gonna love
we
this.
never used the freaking plunger. And like I would be like running in there to pee, and of course, there's a clogged toilet. I was like, Emma, can you please go and deal with this? She's like, no, like someone else can do it. Emma, it
It's the
was like a
same thing.
daily fight,
Unwritten rule. It's
daily
not,
fight.
yeah, it's an unwritten rule. If you clog a toilet, you plunge it,
It's
you
like
know?
you what is it? You break it, you buy it,
Yeah, you break it, you buy it. I mean,
whatever. Any of those, like you do it, you have to suffer the consequences.
yeah. So
Also, plunging a toilet takes like 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
I think it's the idea for people is once you're done with the plunger, then you got to clean the plunger. So it's not like the idea of plunging the toilet. Yes, you do have to clean the plunger.
I've actually like I have a plunger here. We've like I've
Okay,
never run into that issue in this house.
it's
This
actually it's actually when
plunger.
you look at unwritten rules is that you need a plunger before you need a plunger. Like everyone should have a plunger. That is a household staple, just so you know. So
Well, no,
maybe I'm going to order you one.
I think we might have one, but I don't know if it's because there's the sink plungers and the toilet plungers. I don't know which one is which, but I remember in my class that we had to take a class my senior year of high school that was kind of like learn how to be an adult. And one of the lessons was like, you need a plunger in your house. There's two different types of plungers. You have to have both plungers, the sink plunger and the toilet plunger. I was like, okay. I didn't
Yeah,
actually, we might have one now, but last year we had an industrial grade toilet because it was a dorm, so we didn't have one then.
which makes sense. But yeah, don't use the toilet plunger in the sink. I mean, that's another unwritten rule. Okay, gross, right? So yeah, you need two kinds of plungers. Although I've never needed a plunger for a sink. I mean,
No, I just
maybe
use
because you're in,
Drano.
yeah, well, I don't use Drano, but I don't use a plunger on a sink.
I don't own my pipes, so I don't
Yeah.
really care.
Well,
Shout out to my
maybe,
landlord though.
maybe that's another unwritten rule is care about your pipes even if they're not your own.
Yeah, but like, what are they giving back to me? Like,
They're taking away your shit. I don't know what to
I
tell you.
also
So,
like I'm sure like the pipes in this building are like older than me and you combined because when the water
ooh,
comes
that's old.
in the sink, it like comes out cloudy and foggy, and then you just have to give it a minute to settle. Don't worry, I have a Brita. I filter everything I drink.
Um, okay, so let's move on from like the toilet stories to let's talk about some phone etiquette because this is another thing that I'm amazed by people. And start with like when you're in a public place and you're on a FaceTime call, you have to use your headphones. You
I
have to
don't
use
do
your
that.
headphones. You don't.
When I'm walking, well, it depends. It's like I'm never going to answer a FaceTime like without headphones if I'm in the middle of like a building, but if I'm out on the street, I'll like
Hmm.
call without headphones.
Okay, that doesn't bother me. Like if you're out in nature, that's fine. But if you're in a building,
Also
if you're
all
in
about reading the room. Like if anyone is in a coffee shop studying and you have to take your call and everyone is looking at you like, why is this man screaming in the middle of the coffee shop? Maybe you're the problem.
yeah. I was in an airport lounge, and this has happened multiple times, but this was the most remarkable one for me. Now, granted, the woman was much older, so I'm sure she doesn't have headphones and whatever, but she was having a whole conversation with her husband back home about his constipation. And it was like as loud could be. And of course, it was kind of humorous. I was like, oh, this will be a good story for one day.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, does she have any clue that everybody can hear her? Like, I don't know if she realized
Maybe
that
she
it's
has
not
one
the
of those hearing
conversation isn't
aids.
just, yeah, it's not just
Maybe the
happening
hearing
inside her
aids
head.
hooked up to the Bluetooth, so maybe she thought she had one of those.
Maybe she thought she was hooked up. I don't know. She was not hooked up. And I got to hear all about his constipation and her recommendations for the prunes he should be eating. And yeah, that was a disturbing one. But that happens all the time, no matter where I am. It's happened in doctors' offices and on the airplane. People do it on the airplane before we take off. And it's like, they're
The
saying
airplane is
goodbye to their kids or
dead.
whatever. And you're like,
Dad put me
oh,
on the airplane and I picked up and I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm on the plane. I have to go.
yeah. And
That's
that's fine. right? That's
Don't
like
hate
a
it, dad, though.
well, he's
He
still the king of butt dialing. I mean,
only
who
him
butt
the
dials?
butt dial still. I don't even know if it's possible. But he does it.
He
He
doesn't know how to turn the phone off. Like just to not turn it completely off, but just like he's like it doesn't work. I'm like if you push the button, it the screen
I
shuts
don't even
down. It's
like, but
fine.
even then when I don't turn my phone off, I put it in my pocket. I've never butt dialed anyone in my life.
Yeah,
Like he
it's
also
it's
never hangs up phone
daily.
calls, which is like that's also gonna be his downfall.
Yeah, I'm like, I always say that to him. I'm like, you're talking to me and you don't hang up and you're assuming I'm hanging up, which is, I will hang up. But for maybe if you're on with somebody else, maybe they want to bust you in something. And so, I've heard him have full conversations with people and then I'll text him.
Yeah,
I'm like, you got to learn how to hang up, man.
yeah.
So that's on the list. Okay. The other thing about phones, you go to show someone a photo and what do?
They take your phone and they start swiping.
And they start swiping. Like,
Don't
in what
swipe.
world is that okay to start swiping and looking at all of the other photos in there? It's not like I have anything secretive in my phone, but it's just kind of weird. It's like, I feel like it's a little bit of an invasion of privacy. I mean, someone's going out of their way to show you one thing, and you're like, let me have it all. It's weird.
It's weird. It's weird because then it's like you are you might see something you don't want to see.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I forgot with the toilet one. We didn't talk about when you use the end of the toilet paper roll, what do you do?
You throw it in the freaking trash.
And you get a new one. I can't
Yeah,
say how many times in my house I've gone to I'm like, oh gosh. Well, now, luckily, in most of our bathrooms, I have extra rolls, but it still involves standing up to get it. But it's like, how hard is it to just, it's not like it's a complicated thing. You just pick it up and you hook it on, and it takes
yeah.
1.2 seconds. But it seems like very difficult. It's just, maybe it's just like, with the kids, and I'm overgeneralizing, I would say with Ari and Noah, how when they have dirty clothes, they drop them where they are. Instead of like going to the laundry basket that's 5 feet away, everything ends up on the floor. And I don't understand it. It's like, it's 5 feet away. Like,
For me in college, the clothes that end up on the floor, it's because I'm very stingy on when I do laundry. Not in a gross way, but you don't need to wash everything you wear. And then a lot of times you don't want to hang the clothes back up in your closet because you already wore them. It's like I need a bin that's like not dirty, but like worn.
right.
But I don't have room.
Just,
So my
just,
floor is
you don't
good
have
enough.
room. I was gonna,
My
okay,
floor
well,
is good enough.
you live by yourself. Well, you live with roommates, but I mean, you have your own room. So it's not like here where, and I guess they're only leaving it in their room, but still, I think the expectation is that I'm going to come get it. I don't do that anymore. I
Once
close the
I think
door.
once you live with another person, like a roommate in college and like have like in your own bedroom, you become a lot more conscious of your cleanliness and like if your bed's made, if your clothes are on the floor, because it's like you don't want to be the roommate whose dirty underwear is on the floor.
Yeah, that's true. Especially because your roommates will just come in anyways, right? I mean, maybe that's another
Yeah.
unwritten rule is like don't just walk into your roommate's room if they're not there. But I don't know. You know, I
No,
don't
but like
have a,
sharing a bedroom.
yeah. Oh, sharing a bedroom.
Yeah, you
Absolutely. You
become
need
so
to,
much more conscious of like, okay, well, I can't just like leave my stuff on the floor. Like I'm sharing a space with someone.
yeah. What do you think about like, I was at a meeting yesterday and one of the men that was there, he had like a stain on the back of his pants. And so this woman instantly pointed it out to him. And okay, fine, but he can't do anything about it. So now he's just self-conscious about it. So I read something that said that you shouldn't point out a flaw or whatever unless the person can fix it in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah,
So like
I
if you see spinach in the teeth, point it out.
like if your lipstick is smeared, I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
If you
but
got
like
a big booger hanging out of your nose, I'm pointing it out. Because
when
you know
someone,
what happens? You focus on the booger. Like you can't,
yeah,
like
or
when
you
someone
focus
has
on
something,
this,
yeah, yeah, and it's hard to listen. So I think like if it's something fixable, you point it out.
yeah, I agree. I agree. That goes to the you do this, which pisses me off, but you do it
Sorry.
out of a motherly way. When someone comments, be like, "Oh, you have a sunburn," like I'm not aware of the fact that, like, yeah, I do. Thanks.
And actually, I say, "Ooh, that looks like it
Yeah, like
hurts."
okay, I get it. Like I have a sunburn.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
sunburn though, it's fine. Like it took a long, and maybe it's because I'm really pale, and it wasn't painful at all. I just had one over the weekend. But I swear it took so long for my skin to go back to like not red.
Well, because you're very pale. I mean,
Yeah,
sorry to inform you of that.
I
And
know,
she's like,
I
"Oh,
know.
I'm gonna lay outside and I'm gonna get all this sun." I'm like, "It's been more than 10 minutes. You are burning now." And she's like,
Well,
"No,
like, what am
I'm
I supposed
not."
to do? What am I supposed like? I need, and this summer, like last summer, I was super tan because I was working outside, but this summer I'm inside an office all the time, so it's like I need scheduled outside time, I guess.
Well, you can do that, but just wear sunscreen.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Again, as someone who has had 4 skin cancers, wear sunscreen. That's a written rule, not an unwritten one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about customer service because I think this is something also that second to peeing on a seat and not cleaning it up, I think how people treat people in customer service is unbelievable, ridiculous. Like, I think maybe the airport is the worst place. And I understand that people are really stressed when their plane gets canceled and they can't make it. Maybe they're going to a wedding, whatever they're doing. But still, like, to be yelling at the person that's now trying to help you figure out how to get onto the next flight doesn't make any sense to me, but
No,
it
it does.
is commonplace.
Um, I think like airports are definitely where you see the worst of people. And I am not a happy flyer, and I have come up with like coping mechanisms for me to not like be so like not even like the flying that makes me anxious. It's just like I don't like waiting in lines. I don't like general stupidity. Like TSA, and I have pre-check and I have clear and I have global entry. So I have all the things to like make sure I don't have to deal with like the stupidity of it. Like I know a lot of people haven't been on planes before, and that's totally valid. But when I'm in the TSA pre-check line, and like there's this guy in front of me the other day that was just like, well, can I bring like my phone through? And then she was like, no. I was like, oh, what about the things in my pockets? Do I have to take them out? I was like, yeah. It was just
I love it. You know, when I go through TSA pre-check, I typically travel in, I'm trying to get better about the shoes I travel in, but there's 2 pairs of shoes that I have that have metal in them. So one has a metal toe, it's a pair of Adidas sneakers, and they're really cool looking. And then I have a pair of boots that's like, it's covered with these pieces of metal, but then also has a metal toe. So I know it's going to set off the alarm. Okay. So instantly I take my shoes off and put them on the whatever, the conveyor belt, whatever you want to call it. And every time I'll have someone say, well, you know, you don't need to take your shoes off. And I'm like, I do know that they are metal. They're like, oh, that's metal? Every time.
to get involved in other people's businesses when they didn't ask. Like I will to an extent. If someone like we were at a bar and then someone was like, "What should I order?" and then I recommended a drink. Okay, that's fine because they like couldn't decide. But if you're just like someone's minding your don't put your 2 cents in. Like
Yeah.
that I feel like needs to be an unwritten rule if it's not already. Like I know I'm obviously you probably have to deal with this. I'm not pregnant, I've never been. But like during pregnancy, everyone always has their 2 cents on what she should do.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
mind your own business.
Oh, yeah. Everybody tells you what to do. And raising children, everybody tells you what to do. But the pregnancy thing too, the idea that it's okay to pat someone's belly because they're pregnant, that is another really weird one, right?
So weird.
That is a rule. Don't it may be unwritten, but don't pat someone's
It's
pregnant
also
belly.
like such a weird thing. Can I touch your like? It's not a
Can I
dog.
touch your
It's
belly?
not a
Let me.
dog. You can't just. Can I pet you? That's weird. That's what she's saying.
I mean, there's interesting parts to it, especially when a baby's kicking and stuff, but gosh, I would never do that to a stranger. And I don't think I've ever done it to a friend. It's just
Yeah,
weird,
it's like a
you know?
weird. I mean, like it's cool for the person involved, but not for me.
No, not for the person that has the baby. It's just every time I've seen it happen and people are like, okay, that was just really weird. Like this person just wanted to rub my belly. What is it? Good luck? I'm like a Buddha. I'm like a magic lamp.
That one's so weird.
And to go along with that one, never ask a woman if she's pregnant. Never, never. I mean, that will backfire on you so many times. I remember once dad said to, we're picking on Rob again, can't help it. Your dad said to someone, oh, when are you due? And she said, well, I had the baby 6 months ago. And he learned his lesson on that one. Most of the time, he doesn't ask questions like that anymore. He does still funny things where he'll say someone's name and it is not their name.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You know what, and I also in the same way, I'm so bad with names, and remembering people that I just like you don't say the name then. Oh, hi bud, how's it going? Or
Yeah.
like, hey, it's so good
It's
to see
good to
you,
see
girl.
you. That's what I do. It's so good to see you. And
Yeah.
I'm really bad with names. Like I'm good with faces, and I don't know. I feel like I have like brain fog sometimes. Maybe it's ADHD. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I feel like I'm focusing, and I feel like if I repeat the name, then I have a much better chance of remembering it. It's what we talked about a few weeks ago about when you're repeating stuff and using movements for it. If you think of the name tag with the person's name, then I think it definitely helps to remember things. But that takes a lot of focus, especially when you're at an event and you're meeting like 30 people. Like, no way. Give people name tags at events like that. It's just so much easier.
Yeah, I agree.
Back to customer service though, because I think customer service needs like additional time spent on it because I I'm shocked everywhere I go how rude people can be, and they don't I think they don't think that when someone's working in a customer service area that they're actually human, and they
No,
forget the fact that the person has a name, that the person isn't, hey, I'm customer service. The person is, hey, I'm Sally, and this happens to be my job, and you are treating me like absolute shit right now, and I don't really want to help you. I think that that's something people need to remember, is that by being rude to someone, you are not getting there any faster. You are not, that you're not changing that. You're actually kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because how many people think about for yourself, like, do you want to help people if they're being an asshole?
well, that it's just like it came up today in my or yesterday in one of my fashion classes, discussing like merchandising within stores and how like some stores have exclusive products. And my teacher is just saying you have to have just like a good positive relationship with these customer service people, because then you'll get things that they would normally say no to. Because they don't want to help you if you're being an asshole. Like it
Yeah,
just goes to every field in life. No one wants to help you. And a lot of the times they're not obligated to help you. Like they can refuse your service. Or yeah, you can
they can
whatever.
refuse to give you service.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and especially when, but I see it at Starbucks. I see it at, like I said, the airport. I see it at the grocery store, and it's like, why? Like,
Yeah.
just be kind. Again, my T-shirt. Be kind.
Yeah.
It, but for some reason, it seems very hard for people to remember that. And it shouldn't be an unwritten rule. It should just be part of life, that you should be kind to other people and be patient. And, a lot of times, especially now, there's so much turnover in jobs, and people are learning. They've started a new job, and now they're having to relearn things. And it's like, I love though when I get on a call and someone says, I'm I'm in training. I hope you'll be patient with me. And I'm always like, yeah, absolutely. And then at the end, you're like, you did a great job. Instead of just being like, no, I don't want to deal with someone in training. Okay, everybody has to be trained at some point in their life. Everybody that's listening, you were trained at something, right? And you weren't
Yeah.
perfect at it, because there's no such thing as perfection, but there's a learning curve. So again, just take a
No.
breath, be
Yeah.
nice to people.
Getting mean literally gets you absolutely nowhere. No one wants to help you faster.
No, they don't. Um, Okay, elevators and public transportation. We'll kind of lump
I
those together.
saw the worst video about an elevator recently, and it was like they were just it was I don't even think the elevator was stuck. This woman just pulled out her guitar and tried to start like a sing along in a crowded elevator. Absolutely not. That is not the place for it. Like what?
I Yeah, okay, I agree with that. But I do believe that you should acknowledge people on the elevator. You should say hello. And if
Yeah.
someone says hello back and they have a comment or whatever, you can start a conversation. But otherwise, but it's such a weird thing that we just stare at the numbers. I know we talked about this before, that we just stare at the numbers thinking it's going to make the elevator go faster, or I don't know what we're thinking, but there are other people on the elevator. It's okay to say hi.
Yeah. I think people it's just like not enough time to start a full conversation. I mean, that's why the whole elevator pitch was invented. So you can
Right.
take yourself in one ride. But I don't know, it's just a weird gap of time. There's like don't fart in elevators. Like you can 30 seconds.
It's the
Um
same.
get like let the people off the elevator before you get on the elevator. Like how is that supposed to work? Let's be real. Like let's literally be real here. You cannot like if someone is getting how is someone supposed to get off if you're getting on?
And that's true of public transportation. That was the next thing I was going to bring up is that, if people are getting off the subway, like you getting on there, it just slows things down. Like give them a second to get out of the way. That's the same thing like when we're at the airport and you're taking the tram and it's like your people are like smushing in before the people get off. You would have plenty of space if you would have just waited two
It's not gonna like
seconds.
leave. Like the doors are timed so everyone gets in, and you can also someone can put their hand in it and hold it open. Like
And guess
nope.
what? Another tram comes in 2 minutes. I mean, it's different from for a subway and stuff, but you see it all the time. It's like, okay, do we not understand that rule of you wait and then they exit and then you enter? But
Mm,
that seems another one that's pretty complicated for people.
yeah,
What about this is one that always kind of grosses me out is the way people eat food when they
yeah.
chew with their mouth open and I get to see everything that they're eating and they're trying to talk at the same time too. I think that's a pretty basic unwritten rule. Like chew with your mouth closed. Don't talk while you have food in your mouth. I mean, if it's your family, you can deal with it, but like other people, imagine like being on a date and that was happening. I'd be like, I'm out.
No, it's just like etiquette, eating etiquette. Like eat with your fork and knife when you have to eat with your fork and knife. Like don't
Yeah.
eat with your bare hands.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, there's time for bare hands. If you're eating chicken wings, I don't want to see you cutting
sure,
it. But like just chew with your mouth closed.
use
It's
a
like,
napkin,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, use a napkin. Using a napkin is a good thing. My favorite is when you guys were younger, there would be a napkin next to you and you'd always use your shirt. You'd wipe your face, you'd wipe your hand. I'm like, oh my gosh, really?
That's so
There's a napkin right there. Use it.
yeah.
But it's hard to do. Okay, here's one I'm guilty of. Return the shopping cart when you're done.
I just saw there's those YouTube pranksters that like this guy didn't return a shopping cart and they were just doing like an asshole like go return it and he just flipped out. He was like, "Get away from me! Don't touch my car! Why would I go do that?" And the guy was like, "Well, like someone else is gonna have to do it. Just go return your cart. Like it's not that big of a deal." And this guy just got so angry by the idea of having to return his shopping cart. It takes 5 seconds. It's right there. And
Yeah.
also, what if someone didn't return theirs and then it rolled away in the parking lot and hit your car? You'd be pretty mad and you would say, why didn't that person return their cart? So like do unto others what you want done to you, whatever.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of carts go rolling down and hit cars in a
They leave
parking
a
lot.
tank. Like
Yeah.
they're metal vehicles essentially.
And if they get a good roll on them, you can't stop them.
Oh,
So. Yeah, but okay, I have been guilty of it in the past. I really try to focus on parking in an area where I don't need to park close to the store, but parking in an area where it's easy to return the cart. Now, most grocery stores, at least where we are, I mean, not probably in bigger cities, but they have a place like in the parking lot where you bring the carts to. So it's
yeah.
not like you got to walk back into the store even.
That's so weird to me. Like it's literally like right, maybe 3 cars down from you, you can put your shopping cart in.
Yeah. And they do have people at all these stores that are hired just to bring the carts in. Like
Yep.
that's their job. They're a cart collector. That's what they do. All day long is they collect the carts because people don't want to walk that extra 10 steps.
I always think it's funny the cart collectors when they because the mobile scooters carts ones, I don't know if this is just a thing in Florida where they have mobile scooter shopping carts, but
I
they
kind
do
of feel like they have it everywhere. I think they
and
have to.
it's funny to see like it because the cart collectors are like the youngest people at the store more. So like a 14-year-old boy just like cruising in that thing up to the
Yeah.
store. I always think that's really comical.
I think it's probably the best part of their day when they get to
No,
drive those in.
100%.
It's like,
It's
oh
like,
wait, it's like a ride. I get to take a
oh yeah.
ride and I'm not going to get in trouble for it either. Like it's totally
There's
totally
are
legal.
outside of Florida. I don't know. Like grocery shopping here, they're definitely not. But
Really? I
the
kind of feel
city,
like it's part of like accessibility that you have to
uh,
offer.
New York is just like not like my grocery store. You could not even fit like a wheelchair
Yeah.
in those aisles. So
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's different in smaller cities versus big cities. I'm gonna have to pay attention in the future. I really
I
don't know, but it's just very common here. Or yeah, I think most of the stores that I go to, I was trying to think if Trader Joe's has it. I'm not sure. But most of the stores have carts for people. So, which I think is great. I mean, I think it's important. Okay, this is another one that really drives me crazy. Okay, personal space, right? Like when someone comes up to you and they're like in your face, like to here, and they're talking to you, and there's one person that I've had this do this to me so many times, and when they're talking they like spit on you, and I'm like, they're spitting in my mouth right now, like, and I always try to back up and try to be polite, and you know, you if you can smell someone's breath, you are way too
too
close.
close. It's too close.
Yeah,
Breath is like rancid, and you need to go to a dentist and fix that.
yeah.
But
And
that doesn't happen to me too often where people get too close. I make an effort though in conversations. Like I do not like being close to people. I like the only people that I like receiving hugs from are like my family and my boyfriend, and like everyone else, it's kind of like it's still like a cringe situation going
your
in.
roommates you're fine with.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they've trained me, and like it wasn't like immediate, but like even now, like I like don't like getting in people's personal space, and I don't like people in my space. Like take a step back. I can hear you. My ears are working just fine.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. Yeah, I the hug thing, I don't mind hugs at all. Like that's great, but
No, it's
it's
the
when
proper
it's
way
when
of
someone
greeting
talks to
that.
you where they talk to you and they're so close and it's like, why do you need to be so close? You can look into my eyes if you're 2 feet back. You can still see me. And then they're like turning their head and they're it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you so close to me?
I don't get it.
But it's definitely an unwritten rule that needs to be
Yeah.
followed. Take a step back, my friend.
They
Take a
teach
step
you
back.
that. And I feel like that is like a like it's definitely a written rule. Isn't that what they teach in like kindergarten? Like personal
Well,
bubble?
yeah, they do teach you that, but it seems like maybe they didn't teach it me when I was young, so like my age group doesn't get it. I mean, even your grandmother, dad's mom, you know, when
Oh,
she would talk to you, she would just be right up in your face. And
yeah.
it's like, you know, and it's sweet because she's your grandmother, but it's not sweet. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's like you don't want anybody that close when they're talking to you.
I'm sure this generation of kids knows the 6 feet rule, so they're fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely different.
Hopefully that will. That's even on the subway though. Oh gosh, when people get in your, it's so weird on the subway though when people like they pick the weirdest seats. So like there's space in between, but like the way they do it is like, well, now no one else can sit there. Like the space gapping on seats. I don't know.
Well, it's weird. If you're going to sit down, do you really want to sit right next to a person? I saw this about unwritten rules for urinals that if there's like three, you don't go stand right next to the guy who's already peeing. You leave a gap in between, unless he's in the middle one, and then you're screwed, and you just got to choose one of the side ones. It doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
but you want to leave that space so that people can decide if they want to be there or not. So, I
Yeah.
mean, so if people leave a space, you're saying you wouldn't sit in that one empty space?
Well, a lot of the times it's like I'm with a group of people, and then I'm
Oh,
like, oh well, I'm not gonna be the only one to sit. That's
yeah.
annoying. But it's with seats. It's always weird because like what they teach you and like growing up and filling up an auditorium is that like you go to the farthest row and like fill up from there. That's what bothers me in classrooms when people take the seat closest to the door when they're the first person in the classroom. Leave
Yeah.
those seats open for like me when I come in 10 minutes. I'm barging
Yeah,
into class.
because they're thinking about you. They're thinking about, oh, Olivia's
Exactly.
coming in late. Let me leave her a seat. No, they want to
I,
have the seat closest to the door so they can escape when they want to.
yeah, I always sit closest to the door, but honestly, it's because I come in like either right on time or a couple minutes late. Like I'm never early to class.
Well, that's sad to hear.
I'm early for well, they're 8:30 in the morning. You're telling me you'd be early for an 8:30 class? No.
Oh, and well, going back to the whole like people being in your personal space, I remember this from college too. We had a friend too, um, and we were good friends, so we had no problem, offering it up. But if someone had bad breath, here, you need a piece of gum. Here, would you like a Tic Tac? If someone offers you a piece of gum or a Tic Tac, you
Um,
take it. It's a hint. It's a hint. You need it. I mean, maybe it's a little insulting. I don't know, but I kind of feel
it's
like
better
it.
than like being like your breath smells and like I have no solution for you. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're helping a person out when you give them like
Yeah.
something to make them less stinky.
I don't think people realize that we know when you don't brush your teeth.
Well, it's not like it doesn't stay right here. Like you breathe and it's out there, right? Like it's not just it's bad.
Like it's like
And
a thing. Like people know when you don't brush your teeth.
yeah, I mean, with when you guys were younger, especially with Noah, I didn't like to do the breath test because that was like, oh, I don't want to smell it. But I would do the scratch test. Be like,
Mhm.
let me see if I find anything on your teeth. And if I found something, I was like, nope. Even if you say you did it, you got to do it better. Go back up there. Nobody wants to smell that. And the teachers are the ones that have to deal with it, right? Because they're the ones when they're working with you, they're close. And poor teachers, I'm sure they smell bad breath all day long. It's like miserable.
Yeah.
Oh, as I laugh, okay, here's another thing. Don't make fun of people's laughs. It's an unwritten rule.
Oh, I agree.
People have different kind of laughs. I have a cackle, and I'd like to call it a Betty Rubble laugh, and it just is what it is. I have actually tried adjusting my laugh. I just can't. I let out this ha ha.
I love listening to people's laughs because I think they're just all so unique and curious. I had one friend this summer and her laugh was just the most contagious thing ever. Like, sure, I would describe it as like goofy, but it just makes you laugh. I never like that's a weird thing to make fun of. Don't make fun of people. Stop doing
Yeah, and same thing like when you're at the gym. Don't make fun of people working out. Like they're working out, right?
that. They
Like
already don't want to be there. Like
yeah,
they're already so self-conscious. Like when I go to the gym, I'm so self-conscious that everyone is looking at me. So it's just like that, like mind your own business once again.
yeah, I 100% agree, and especially I see this. I've seen this. Okay, I haven't been to the gym in a while, but when I used to go to the gym, you would see someone come in that might have been a little bit overweight, and people, you can see people like, making some comments about it. And you're like, this person is in here doing the work. Like, just be nice.
Yeah. Like, but like then you would be like,
Why?
why aren't they
Yeah.
going to the gym if you saw them on the street? So like, stop being
Yeah.
an asshole.
People
Don't comment.
always, people always have to
Mind
criticize.
your own business.
Let's go back to the airplane for a second. So, talking about the,
I violate
you know,
all rules on airplanes. Right? My shoes come off. Okay, the minute I hit the plane, my feet swell. I'm an old lady.
oh my gosh, you are not an old lady. Your feet swell. Okay, well, hopefully you're wearing clean socks. Hello. I never take my shoes off on the plane, except for if
Ugh.
I'm in my fancy business class, three
You're
times in
so
my
level.
life. And then I put the fancy socks on, and then I'm like, okay, I'm clean. I can do this. But you see people wearing the flip flops, and they put their foot up on the wall,
My
or
feet
they
won't go up. Like I'll slip my sneakers off and then they'll just like go under my seat. Like I don't want you to know that my shoes are off. Okay. You won't know,
yeah.
but they're off. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll forgive you, but the person
But
next to you might not.
airplane etiquette, like the person in the middle seat is already suffering so much because I was in a middle seat on my flight to Florida last weekend. Do not like man spread into their area.
Here's the thing I read about it. Okay, here we go. The window seat gets an armrest and a wall because they
Yeah.
have the armrest against the wall. The
No.
middle seat gets two armrests, and the aisle seat gets an armrest and a little extra legroom. We're not savages. We live in society. Okay, so
Yeah.
when the person sits in the middle seat, I've usually I try not to sit in a middle seat, but I've been in a middle seat before, and I'm like, you're like this because the people next to you are trying to put their elbows on those armrests as well. You have nowhere to go. You can't move left, you
Yeah.
can't move right. You're stuck
Yeah.
where you are. And so, I've had experiences where I can't even put one arm up, and if you try to, the person will push you, and it's like, why are you touching me?
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? Uh,
That well, we were at lunch with your friends, and one of them mentioned like if there's a seat open,
mm,
you move to the seat that's open. You don't stay in the middle. There shouldn't be like an empty aisle seat, a middle seat, and a filled plane seat or window seat. Like it should all
yeah.
be. If you have the choice not to sit next to someone, spread out.
Yeah, that was a funny story because she was sitting in the aisle. I mean, she was sitting in the window seat, and the other person was sitting in the middle seat, and the door closed to the plane, and the aisle seat was open, but the lady didn't move over, and so she didn't want to ask her and say, "Can you move over?" Because she's just too nice for that. But then once they got up in the air, the lady basically didn't move over, but she used the tray table for the other one to put all her stuff out. So she basically had two seats to herself. And she could have had the same thing if she would have moved over. And my friend is always trying to think positively. And she's like, okay, so I thought about this in my head. And I thought that the reason she did this is because, a lot of people, when they get assigned a seat, they think they have to stay in that seat, like that
Yeah.
they
You're
can't
not
leave
going to
it.
get in trouble for moving. Like if there's an open seat, like the flight attendant will like they've come up to me before and be like, "Do you want to sit here instead?" Like they want you to move so you're not on top of each other.
Yeah. I mean,
Not
it's
against
supposed to
the
be comfortable, right? I mean, it's supposed to
not
be,
against the rules.
um, yeah. I mean, I think we covered like most of the ones that I wanted to cover. Anything else you can think of that,
I see this one. Don't wear white to a wedding and don't
oh,
propose at someone's wedding. And then that goes to don't announce your pregnancy at someone's wedding. Don't announce like just like let people have their moment.
yeah. If
Don't
you're
wear
at a
white.
wedding, it's about the bride. I have been to weddings years ago. I mean, I haven't been to that many weddings recently, but and other people are wearing white and I'm like, are you trying to match with the bride? What are you trying to accomplish? It is the bride's day. Like let her live. Let her
Yeah.
like be,
Such
you
an
know.
unspoken rule that I can't believe people still do it. And like, oh, it's petty revenge. Like, you just look bad. You look bad. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna spill a bottle of wine on you. Okay, what are you gonna
You're
do?
not you're not because you're too nice. But
I'm not, but I'll have someone else do it.
okay, there you go. But I think that the idea of proposing to someone at someone else's wedding, like what?
Yeah,
Like
and I
why is
get,
that
oh,
even a
families together, like we can do it. No, no, don't do it. I
like
would be disgusted. I'd be so mad. I'd ruin your life. I'd announce my pregnancy at your wedding. I'd make sure every single occasion from now on it's about me.
You're sounding a little angry about this. Well, I mean,
I just
hopefully,
don't like seeing like I see a lot of the Reddit posts that were like, "Oh, my mother-in-law wore a white dress to my wedding because," and like those are always so weird to me because in those situations it's like they just want to marry their son and it's like some weird, oh, I can't let go of my
well,
baby.
it's a protest. It's a protest against the wedding,
So
right?
weird
Like,
to me. Like, oh my God, that's it just is like weird that moms think about their like sons like that.
yeah, that's beyond
But
creepy. Okay.
the proposal at things, it's just like let people have their moment.
Yeah, I mean, have a nice wedding and don't propose at someone's wedding. Don't wear white. Don't like. Oh, I have one last one before we go. Um, don't get so wasted at an office party that you're going to be fired.
I saw the best TikTok recently of this girl being like, here's the level of wastage you can get at events. Office party was like two. Like, don't get drunk like at a that's so embarrassing.
2 out of 10.
Yeah, 2 out of 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
I've
that's the
seen
level
people
you're
do
like
that. I've
or
seen people do that.
parties.
Yeah. And you're like, what are you thinking? Or they bring their spouse and their spouse gets completely
That's
wasted.
even
It's like yeah. So yeah, don't get so wasted at your office party that you lose your job from it. I would
unless
say
like
have a couple of
everyone
drinks.
else is getting
Yeah.
wasted, just read the room. A lot of it
Yeah.
is just reading the room. But like I would say your boss in all regards never wants to see you like throwing up on the floor.
Yeah. No, for sure not. He is not going to hold your hair back. Sorry to tell you
No,
that,
he's
but
not. He's gonna be like, that's
no,
embarrassing.
no, neither is she. I mean, maybe a woman boss, a boss who's a woman would be a little
Yeah,
bit
I'd hold
more
their
up
hair
for
back.
that.
I'd be like, you have like a reprimand the next day. Like we need to talk about your
Yeah.
behavior. Like
Yeah.
you're misrepresenting the company.
Yeah. And I think you're right. It's going back to unwritten rules are really about reading the room and read the room, guys. There's
Read the room. Oh my God, my quote is perfect. I'll just the bottom part is not. Stop being a self-righteous asshole. And the bottom part is and forgive them. But stop being a self-righteous asshole.
yeah, there we go. Great way to end this show. Uh, okay, quick takeaways. Yeah, read the room.
Like read
Be
the room.
read the room. Be kind. And
You kind of read the room.
yeah, those are the two big takeaways from today. And remember, there are always unwritten rules out there. And think about when you encounter a situation like, ah, is this the best for all people here, or is this just the best for me? And I think that will
Oh,
help you answer the question of what the unwritten rule is. Don't pee on a toilet seat and leave it there, please. Help me out here, guys. Help me out.
yeah, movement.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you next week on the next
Oh, we
episode
will.
of Oh yeah, she's gonna be in Mexico. We're not
Mexico.
gonna see you next week. We're having a week off, and then we'll be
Yep.
back the week after that, and maybe we'll talk about her Mexican vacation. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Don't forget to like us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see you soon. Have a great
Okay.
day.
Thank you.